let's get Unity started. This is the other postnet. We will implement a couple of things. The first thing that you need to do is that I will post in the code section at Teams is one file that is a library that is called Newtonsoft JSON. So this is a JSON parser, or basically like a library that allows you to work with JSON files. So I will put it here so you don't have to download it. Is this file here. Please download this file, right? And I will show you what to do with it. Because I will create, I have everything implemented already, I show you. So I will guide you through how to implement this from scratch. We will start our a new Unity project, 2019 is fine. If you want to do like newer versions, that's fine as well. We will call this postnet from server. You pick a location, so I will create this. I'm happy that this worked actually. That this worked like seamless. So, this is executing now. Also, in case you're interested to see like more things about, I don't know, things that I'm developing, this is just like whatever, Diego Pinochet. This is my Instagram. Usually I post a lot of things that I'm developing. So if you want to see my work or things that might interest you and ask me, oh, what are you doing? How can I do this? I left my Instagram over there. It's open, so you can follow me. And also I'm posting, usually I post if I make a new video, for example, on YouTube, like a new tutorial, you will see it like there, like follow my video and stuff like that. Because I'm telling you this because a lot of the students ask me like, oh, where can I find where can I find more information, or where can I find like, I don't know, like good tutorials. I think my tutorials are good. Sometimes are like very long because I just post the classes that I teach, but you will find some stuff that is interesting. All right, we have our Unity project. So we will be like very straightforward. Download the newtonsound.json.dll file and drag it inside your root folder, just like to your root folder at your Unity project. Then we will right-click. I will right-click and create a new folder that I will call scripts. And inside scripts, this is like a very simple thing. So we will create a new C# script that we will call HTTP listener. HTTP_listener. And this is a C# file that we need to put to work. Now, well, let's see if this gives me like an error. I don't remember which version of the Newtonsound JSON DLL file I gave you. I think it's 2.0. If not, we can change the .NET framework inside Unity. But for now, let's work with this. So we will save also this scene. We will say like save as, and we will save this inside the scene folder postnet. I will upload this full project to your files, and I will add another scenes with other models, right? So in this case, this is like a postnet listener. Actually, this could listen to any machine learning model, but we will call it like postnet. So we will enter here. We are now in our postnet scene, and let me check the code that I have. Let me close a couple of things and I'll be all right. Yeah, because I have this in my notes, so I need to make sure that this works correctly. Just 1 second. This is a little bit annoying. Let me do one thing. If my screen flickers, yeah, because I have my notes here, so you can write the code. All right. So we can, yes, we're okay. So let's double click in this oh, sorry, and this is the sample file that I showed you before. Oh, damn it, I hate this. Too many windows, too many things, so I need to close those. Yeah, I was like, what the hell is going on? All right, this is the file, or the app that I want. So let's clear that error. Let's go to script. Let's open Visual Studio. This is not Visual Studio Code. Now we forget about Visual Studio Code because we already implemented that. It's working. Sorry, we're happy, or at least I'm happy that it's working. So, oh my God, this is terrible. I don't know why this is showing me like everything on my other screen. Again, sorry about that. So I need to turn off my screen, turn it up again.
Hi, Diago. Maybe some wrong. We can't hear you.
Yes, yes, yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can now. Yes.
Okay, yeah, sorry. So sorry, I was like, I haven't like too many things connected to my computer, so this is why it creates like some problems. Thank you for letting me know. So again, in your just to be clear, do you just drag inside your Unity assets folder this file that I left in the Teams, the newtonson.json. Then you create a new script that is called HTTP test. Sorry, listener. You can call it whatever you want, but we will just call it like HTTP. And I call it like HTTP actually. Well, whatever. I'm not gonna fix it now. HTTP listener. And what we will do, a good practice we will create an empty game object in HTTP listener. So we will call it like that. So you just right click, create an empty game object, you just change the name, and then we will drag this C# script to this empty game object. So we know that this, when we start our game, this HTTP listener game object will execute this script that we're doing here. So let's start with some imports. This part is not that long, but we need to get our imports right. We have system.collection, system.collections.generic. We will do like using that Unity engine that networking. So we have some like network functionality. This is pretty sweet now because in the past, now you can do like multiplayer stuff and create your own servers and things like that to make like interactive games. In the past, it was like a little bit more difficult. So we do that. We will also import, same like using NewtonSoft.json. So basically, this is importing that DLL that I just shared with you in the Teams files folder. So again, this is also something new that if you don't know, you're learning. You can import DLLs. Sometimes you will find like libraries, like, I don't know, like algorithms that have like a specific methods. You can import those inside Unity and use those. In this case, we're importing NewtonSoft JSON. We will say like using system. We will say like using system.text. We need this to also like perform some text formatting operations. Using, I don't know if we will use this, but just in case, system.link. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. We will say using that system.data, using system.drawing. All of these things are just in case we need them. Probably will not use all of this, but probably I'm just, in case I want to go a little bit crazy with what I want to implement. System.reflection. What else can we add? Using system XML, using system.xml.link. Just like follow along with these imports. Some we will use, some we won't. So I'm just trying to see what can we use in order to make this more interesting. So we'll do like system that using system that runtime at interrupt services, using system that net, using system that IO. This one is particularly interesting because, I mean, with this we will have access to port, but also we will have access to serial port. And if we have access to serial port, we can send immediately the information to, let's say like an Arduino or like any microcontroller. We can send this information to an Arduino, to an ESP32 that could be connected to like some sort of like robotics controller. So for example, like servo motors. I know that some of you in your studios with Valentina there, you're working with like Dynamixels and stuff like that with like using ROS. So this is like very important in case you want to add that functionality to communicate directly with your serial port. And just in case, let's see how we want to format this. We will use newtonsoft.json.link in case we want to do like interesting things. All right. A lot of imports. Again, we will clean this once this is working. Collection.generic. Beautiful. What do we need? We'll you know already this, so this is execute just like the first frame, whatever. Let's erase it. This is called once per frame. So let's start building our, actually this is quite straightforward. I just need to explain you a lot of things, but these things will make so much sense when we execute those. We want to create a coroutine. We talked about coroutines last session. Remember, a coroutine calling another coroutine. A coroutine is the analog to the asynchronous function that I show you in JavaScript. So it's a coroutine that will be executed in a different thread. So you can have stuff going on in Unity, like objects moving and doing stuff, and this other coroutine can do other stuff, such as requesting information from our server. So we will create down below an enumerator. This is how you declare a we will not use actually the update function, so we can delete that. So we'll create an enumerator get request, and that get request, this coroutine that basically is like a function that will be asynchronous, will take as argument one string that we'll call URI. And again, this is giving me an error. I explained this. Actually, this is coroutine in charge of getting information from the server. This is giving me now an error because we are not returning anything. We need to return information. But let's program this, and we will do it. So I will put also the reference where I got the code from. This is always good to put your sources. This is from Stack Overflow. In Stack Overflow, you can find like this is the base code. I mean, it's not all the code, it's heavily modified, but here in the answer you can find like how to actually get the information from an HTTP request. So it's good to know that the reference is from here. This is also like pretty standard code. It's nothing like from Mars. The first thing that we will do here, we will declare like a variable. This is like a generic variable inside the C# that we will call request. And the request will be equal to HTTP web request web request. This is the way you write it. Create. And this will get the URI. It's not the URL. I don't know why it's called a URI. I forgot. But basically, we are passing this argument here. That this argument will be the address, the endpoint of our server, pointing to one of the endpoints, right? So this will create request for information. Then we need to set like a request.timeout. Why? In case we don't get an answer, we don't waste like resources. Like, so for example, if the URL is like wrong, we want to have like a timeout to see that, oh, you got an error, so there's something not working. Probably you don't have like internet connection, probably you don't have, I don't know, you don't need internet connection for this, but you don't have like, you input like the wrong format for the address, and so on and so forth. So the request timeout is 500 milliseconds, so it's like half a second. Here we can create also like toy data. So let's create just like a create toy data to send to the server. So again, we need to send a JSON to the server so the server knows something. So in this case, we will say like, we will declare a string array that we will call, let's say, data to send. And data to send will be just this, like A, comma, B, comma, C, and that's it. We're just creating like toy data. So this is just a string, an array of strings, and we will say that string post data, it will be equal to JSON convert that serialize object data to send. With this, we are creating a JSON object to send to the server. Again, this is just like whatever. This could be John, Mary, and Rupert. It doesn't matter. It's just like we're just creating data and we are serializing this as a JSON object because we need to send, this is the format that we need to send information. Remember in our JavaScript server here, we are also specifying that the type of information that we're sending to our server is JSON. So we need to send something similar. So in this case, we're just creating like whatever, like toy data that we can say like A, B, C. And we are processing this into like a JSON string object. Then we will say like post, bar data will be equal to encoding dot ASCII dot get bytes post data. Why? We need to encode that JSON file as bytes. I mean, this is like a typical C# thing. We will encode everything as, and we will send this not as a string, but we will encode it as bytes. So it's also like very efficient. And here, we will configure our request, meaning that we will say request that method, just as we did with the JavaScript. So also this is a beautiful example because we're doing similar things in two different languages, so you can relate those. Request that method, this will be a post. We will say that request that content type, the content type will be application JSON. So the server knows that we're sending a JSON file. And here we need to specify one more thing, request that content length equal to data.length. So it knows the length of the message. So we're good. So actually we make the request. And to make the request, we will say how can we do this like in a more efficient way? Let me think about this. Oh, we can do this using var stream equals to request dot get request stream. So this will initiate the request, and we will stream. We will use that object stream write data. The buffer is, it will start at 0, and the data length, and the data will be like data.length. So this allows you to actually write the message that we're sending. Oh, is this the best way to do it? If I remember correctly, yes. I'm deviating a little bit to the example that I show you at the beginning of the class that I have in my notes, because I want to try some different things. So with this, we will be sending this information to the server each time. Because what we want is just to trigger a response. So this is why I was telling you that it doesn't matter which information you have here, because this is only a way to send, okay, I'm sending you a request, I'm sending you this information, now give me back what I want. So we make the request, now we get the answer from the server. That answer, or that response actually, not answer, response from the server will be like this, var res, and this will be like a HTTP response. It's HTTP web response request dot get response. So actually, we will get the response from the server here. Yes, that's correct. But now we need to format the response. So we get useful data in Unity. For that, we will create another variable that is called response string. We cannot specify that this is a string immediately. This is why we're using var. There's like a generic object type of variable, because now we will do the response basically is a stream of data, so we need to decode that stream of data. The way we do that, we will say like new stream reader res dot get response stream dot read to end. So this is reading the response from the res object as a string, right? So remember that in our server, sorry, not in our server, our sketch, this is sending the information as a JSON string, right? This is sending the information as a JSON string. So we need to get that information also as a JSON string here in our code. So we need to read that till the end, and here we will do something a little bit, yeah, that's the way we do it. So now we will say Newton soft, sorry, dot JSON dot link dot J. Oh, actually no, we can just say like J object. J object, that is the type of object that we're getting now. J object called JSON equals to J object dot parse, and this is parsing. This will decode the information from the response string. So this will parse the information from the response string. So again, we formatted everything as a string, so now we need to format it back as a JSON object type of data. Now we will do something that is not very pretty. No, actually it is pretty. We will create an iList. Remember that this is a data type that contains like this is an enumerator. So we will write like, we need to basically now get the information from the JSON file and store it in a specific type so we can read it inside Unity. So for this, we will do the following thing. We will call this an iList of JObject called poses, and this will be equal to JSON that we will use the select token, and this token we will call it A. I think we are good. That to list. Cannot. I'm missing a cast. Oh, let me just, okay, let me change this actually. We're gonna do this the following way. Select token, select S arrow function J object S dot to list. Syntax is a little bit weird, but basically here we're getting the poses. We are getting all the poses in a list. So let's see if this works. If this works, we should get information from our server. In the same way we got the information from in our server actually with the poses. So we will do like a debug that log poses. But one more thing that we need one more thing. We need to actually two things. We will do here, because this is a function that will be executed all the time. At the top of our function, we will say like while true, and you always need to be very careful with this statement, because basically this is always true. This is saying like while something is true. What is true? True is true. So this is like an infinite loop. So if you execute your code like this, you will crash Unity. So we need a way out. A way out. So that way out is here. That way out will say that yield return, and we can just return the response string. It doesn't matter. We can just return like the poses, for example. Actually, we should do that, poses. Yield return poses. So I will save this. Remember also to save your project before you do anything. Save your scene, save your project, and now we have that. We have the while implemented, but now in the start function, we will do the following thing. Here we will say like public string HTTP address, and by default we will do the following thing. We will say HTTP address is HTTP 127.0.0.1 colon. We will specify the port, and here we'll say API, and here we will call to API. Let's see what happens if we call API 1. So we will do that, and here we will say start coroutine. This will start the coroutine, and the coroutine will be get request, and the argument will be HTTP address. So this will start the coroutine that will execute forever until we stop our game. I will save. Now we go and say like Ctrl+Shift+B or build solution. Now I will move this away, because what do I want here? I want to have, let me arrange my screen properly. We want not this. We want the JavaScript, we want Unity, and we want the server. So let's start the server. Sorry, I had something else open. This is my server. My server is running. It's getting the poses. So you need to have this up so you see it. So now, if we execute this, we should see the same information coming here. All right, we're getting information. So actually, this is not the Unity. This is the example that I show you. This is the one that we want here. So let's see. Let's execute it. You see now that the HTTP listener, you can change the address here because this is now a public string. So let's see if we get information. Is giving me an error. Oh no. From JSON object is giving me error. So let me check one more thing. Is working? I mean, it's working. Not here, but in the other example. So let me just corroborate a couple of things. Here we will go to File, Build Settings, Player Settings, and we will make sure that we are using .NET 4.0. So I changed this to .NET 4.x because probably that's an incompatibility issue. So if you change again, like File, Build Settings, Player Settings, and then if you go to Player, you can change here in the scripting backend to .NET 4x, 4.x, and it should solve this. Let's see. And also, let's change this to API 2, actually. Okay, we're getting our information. So how do we know we're getting the information? You see this here? This is all the time getting info. This information for now is like nothing. It's just a generic list object. It's telling you that this is a list of Newtonson JSON link object things. Remember that I changed this to API 2 because in our server, this is where we want to get the information. So here we should actually get like success and poses. So let's see how can we parse that data to use it. So if we go back to here, we can say yeah, so let me see if this works. I will just call the first element on that list. So I will save the file. I will execute this. There you go. So you see now, if I open this, so we're getting all the poses, but here we are getting exactly what we want. We're getting the pose, we're getting the score, the key points, and also the position according to the part of the body, the nose, X and Y. So this is actually amazing because now we're getting rid of the limitations of Barracuda, and we can use data from other machine learning. This is why